The transmission crackles through the speakers, static distorting the scholar's final words. They burned it all, the Galactic Library is gone, and humanity's true history with it. Dr. Lira Voss leans over the console, her fingers tracing the jagged lines of the decoded message. The air in her ship feels thick, heavy with the weight of what she's just heard. Her breath catches as the realization hits her. Centuries of knowledge erased in an instant, and if they're willing to destroy something that vast, what's to stop them from coming for her next? The ship's artificial intelligence chimes in, its voice calm but urgent. "Doctor, we have incoming signals, unidentified vessels on an intercept course." She doesn't need to ask who they are. The message was a warning, and now it's a countdown. The console flashes red as the proximity alert blares. There's no time to think, only to act. She grips the controls, her mind racing. The Galactic Library may be ashes, but the truth, whatever it is, isn't dead yet, and neither is she. The wreckage of the Galactic Library looms ahead, its towering spires now jagged teeth of blackened metal. Dr. Voss steps through the ash-choked entrance, her boots sinking into layers of charred date, a tablet's centuries of knowledge reduced to cinders. A glint catches her eye. Buried beneath the debris, a single data crystal pulses faintly, its surface scarred but intact. She brushes off the soot, and suddenly the air shimmers. A gaunt figure materializes, the library's curator, his form flickering like a dying star. "They called it mercy," he murmurs, voice brittle, "erasing the wars, the rebellions. The blood in our DNA," but the crystal remembers. Before she can respond, the ground trembles. Armored boots crush the ruins behind her as enforcers fan out, their leader's visor reflecting the firelight. "Last chance, Doctor." She clutches the crystal tighter. The curator's hologram flickers out with a warning. "Run before they rewrite you too." Blaster fire tears through the air as she dives into the collapsed archives, the walls groaning like they're trying to swallow the truth whole. Somewhere in the maze of shattered shelves, the crystal's glow brightens, as if it's finally found someone worth speaking to. As the dust settles in the ruins, a shadow darts between the fallen shelves. Kale, his face half hidden beneath a tattered hood, yanks Dr. Voss behind a crumbling pillar, just as another volley of blaster fire scorches the spot where she stood. His grip is firm, urgent. "You're not the only one who wants the truth," he hisses, eyes darting toward the enforcer's echoing shouts. "But you might be the only one left who can handle it." The air between them crackles with tension as Kale leads her through a hidden passage, the walls whispering with the ghosts of 1,000 erased histories. He doesn't slow until they're deep in the library's underbelly, where the scent of smoke gives way to the sterile chill of preserved data vaults. "The regime didn't just burn books," he says, pulling a rusted panel open to reveal a holographic map of the galaxy. "They rewrote us, scoured the war from our genes, our memories, even our instincts. Peace was their weapon." Dr. Voss studies the map, her fingers tracing the glowing lines of forgotten battlefronts. "Then why save me?" she asks, voice tight. Kale's jaw clenches. "Because the crystal you found, it's a key, one that unlocks the archives they couldn't destroy." He leans in, his breath warm against her ear, the proof of what we really are. For a heartbeat, she almost believes him, then the static hiss of his calm link slices through the silence. A voice, cold and familiar, barks orders. "Status update, is the target contained?" Kale's hand flies to mute the device, but not fast enough. Dr. Voss recoils, the betrayal like a knife twist. "You're one of them," she breathes. He doesn't deny it. "They promised me a pardon," he mutters, reaching for her. "But I didn't know." She's already moving, slamming her elbow into a decayed support beam. The ceiling groans, then collapses in a roar of metal and dust, sealing Kale behind her as she sprints into the maze of ruins. Behind her, his shouts dissolve into curses, then silence. The crystal in her pocket pulses, as if urging her forward. Somewhere beyond the smoke, the real fight is waiting. As the echoes of betrayal fade behind her, Dr. Voss clutches the pulsing crystal tighter, her breath ragged from running. The wound on her side burns, but the pain is nothing compared to the fire in her chest, the need to uncover the truth. The crystal's faint glow leads her through the wreckage of the library, its light flickering like a dying star, until she stumbles upon a hidden coordinate buried in its data. A derelict space station, orbiting the edge of a forgotten system, the last refuge of those who refuse to let history die. The moment she docks her battered ship, the air hums with tension. The station is a graveyard of shadows, its corridors lined with the scars of old battles. Before she can take a second step, a dozen weapons snap toward her, wielded by figures clad in patched armor. Their leader steps forward, Rin, a veteran with a face carved by war and eyes that have seen too much. He doesn't lower his rifle. "You're either very brave or very stupid, coming here," he growls. "But if you've got what I think you do, you might just be the key to everything." Dr. Voss holds up the crystal, its light casting jagged patterns across the rusted walls. Rin's grip on his weapon falters. With a sharp nod, he leads her deeper into the station, past makeshift barricades and walls plastered with fragments of forbidden history. The air smells of ozone and desperation. In the heart of the station, a holographic projector flickers to life, revealing Earth as it once was, not the sanitized version the regime preaches, but a world drenched in fire and defiance. Ancient wars rage across the projection, cities crumbling, armies clashing. "This is what they fear," Rin says, his voice rough, "not the wars themselves, but what happens when we remember we were never meant to be docile. They erased our hunger for freedom, Doctor, and now they'll burn the galaxy to keep it buried." The station shudders violently, alarms screaming as artillery fire rips through the outer hull. The enforcers have found them. Rin doesn't flinch. He yanks a data drive from the console and shoves it into Dr. Voss's hands. "Run," he orders, his voice cutting through the chaos. "Tell the galaxy what we were, what we still could be." The blast doors seal behind her with a finality that echoes in her bones. She barely makes it to her ship before the station erupts in a fireball, the shockwave sending her spiraling into the void. The drive in her palm feels heavier than a planet. Somewhere in the static of her comms, a voice crackles another survivor, another whisper of rebellion. The fight isn't over, it's just begun. Now the truth ignites a firestorm across the stars. Dr. Voss transmits the uncovered history to every open channel, her voice cutting through decades of lies. The footage spreads like supernova radiation, ancient wars, erased rebellions, the brutal editing of human DNA to strip away defiance. Core worlds erupt. Crowds tear down regime monuments with bare hands, their shouts shaking government towers. "We were warriors," a miner roars on a live feed, his face streaked with soot and tears. "They made us forget." The Chancellor appears on every screen, her smile serene as a frozen lake. "Ignorance is peace," she declares, her voice smooth as poisoned honey. "Would you rather have war? But the people have seen Earth's true past now, the unbreakable will that built civilizations from blood and fire." A dockworker on the capital planet hurls a wrench at her hologram. "We'd rather be free." Dr. Voss watches the chaos from her ship's flickering monitors, her fingers flying over the console. She's digging deeper, unearthing the Chancellor's darkest secret, proof that even the regime's leader is a product of genetic tampering. The screen flashes red, Boarding alarms shriek as magnetic clamps lock onto her hull. Too late, the Chancellor's hologram materializes in front of her, those cold eyes gleaming. History is written by the victors. Doctor, you've just made yourself a casualty. The enforcers blast through the door. Dr. Voss doesn't hesitate. Her palm slams down on the self-destruct panel. The explosion tears through the ship as her escape pod rockets away, the shockwave painting the void with fire. Behind her, the Chancellor's transmission fractures into static, but the damage is done. The truth is loose. On 1,000 worlds, humans lift their heads for the first time in generations, feeling something old and fierce uncoiling in their blood. The stars themselves seem to hold their breath. This isn't an ending, it's a detonation. Alone in the escape pod's dim glow, Dr. Voss presses her forehead against the viewport, watching the embers of her ship fade into the black. Across the galaxy, screens flicker with her stolen truth footage of Earth's forgotten wars, the regime's genetic lies, the Chancellor's own altered lineage. On a mining colony, workers smash their neural compliance chips with rusted pipes. On a luxury orbital, senators tear their robes in the streets, howling for justice. The regime's grip is fracturing like thin ice under a boot. Then static hisses through the pod's speakers, a familiar voice, ragged with pain. Kale, you were right, he gasps, and she can almost see him bleeding out in some dark corridor, clutching a stolen transmitter. Some truths are worth burning for. The line goes dead. Dr. Voss closes her eyes. She remembers the library's ashes sticking to her skin, the way Rin shoved that data drive into her hands before the explosion took him. All of them gone, but not for nothing. Her fingers trace the words etched into the pod's console, words she memorized from the uncovered archives, the opening lines of humanity's declaration of war, composed millennia ago when Earth's nations first reached for the stars. As she whispers them, 1,000 liberated worlds echo them back, their voices raw with newfound fury. We are the fire, she breathes, and light years away, crowds roar it like a battle cry. Silence settles, then, a crackle, a weak signal cutting through the void, another survivor, another fragment of the past, whispering into the dark, the galaxy is waking up. Remembering, and somewhere in the chaos, the Chancellor's frozen smile finally slips. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss stories of rebellion, hidden histories, and the secrets buried in the stars. What truth would you burn to uncover? Let us know in the comments below.